Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I'm going to be discussing my top 25 GameCube games ever created. So let's get to it.
Number 25.
Starting off my top 25 GameCube games of all time list is Tales of Symphonia. This game completely blew me away with its cel-shaded graphics and its active real-time battles, and something that really wasn't popular back then. And I feel like this game helped popularize that genre of role-playing game.
Number 24.
For number 24 on my list, I'm going with Soul Calibur 2. It's not only one of the best fighting games on the GameCube, it's one of the best fighting games I've ever played in my life. And for the GameCube version specifically, you could play as Link from The Legend of Zelda, which at the time completely blew gamers' minds to be in a realistic fighting game with Link.
Number 23.
I'm going with Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. This game was a follow-up to the smash hit on the Nintendo 64 of Paper Mario, and it was an incredible role-playing experience in its own right. It had really fast-paced battles, an incredible storyline, and it was a ton of fun to play. And my favorite part about this game was it was actually a little bit more challenging than the N64 version as well, which took a lot of people by surprise because I don't think they were expecting that out of a childish game.
Number 22.
Coming in at number 22 is Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. If you've never played this game, it actually came with a pair of the Donkey Kong bongos. You hit the left one to go left, you hit the right one to go right, you got a little sound sensor to clap to get the enemies, and you hit them both together to jump. I mean, that's it. Those are the controls of the game, and you would think that not much gameplay can be derived from that, but you'd be very wrong. This game actually led Nintendo down the path of motion controls, and can be accredited to creating Wii Sports in a weird way.
Number 21.
A really expensive game on eBay. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is the first localized big-time Fire Emblem game that Nintendo ever had. And I guess you could thank Smash Brothers for the popularity rise of Marth and Roy, because before that game, nobody even cared about Fire Emblem. Then after Smash Brothers, people were wondering who those characters were, and Nintendo decided to localize one of the games in the Americas, and oh my god, it was incredible.
Number 20.
I'm going with my favorite Mario Party on the GameCube, Mario Party 6. The best thing about Mario Party 6 was it came with this microphone, and you could do commands yelling into the microphone while playing with friends. It was a blast, and really ahead of its time. It even plugged in through the memory card slot. You would think that they'd use USBs, but those weren't even invented yet.
Number 19.
Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. One of my favorite Mario Golf games ever created. The controls were spot on, the sound effects were amazing, the character selection was awesome. You could integrate your actual Game Boy Advance characters into the gameplay with the link cable. It was insane all the stuff you could do with it. The one caveat with this game was the camera angle though. If you hit the ball and there was ever a hill or a wall or an obstacle, you couldn't really see where the ball was going, and the camera never really adjusted for that. But outside of that minor squabble, it was an awesome game, and definitely worth checking out.
Number 18.
One of the best arcade shoot-'em-up ports that I've ever played in my life. Ikaruga is awesome. You play as a gunship, and you can flip colors from black to white, and the black absorbs the black bullets and the white absorbs the white bullets to create more powerful attacks. But if you get hit with one of the colors that you're not, you blow up. Which sounds pretty simple, but it's a crazy bullet storm, and you're flipping back and forth like crazy, dodging bullets, and it gets really intense.
Number 17.
One of the best role-playing games ever created, and it got its start on the Dreamcast. When that failed, Sega ported a lot of their really good games to systems that were actually successful, and Skies of Arcadia Legends is no exception. But this isn't a quick port, this is like a completely redone game. They've changed so much to make it better. They've reduced the random encounter rate, added dungeons, did the whole thing. It's awesome, and this is one you definitely need to check out.
Number 16.
F-Zero GX. Back during the GameCube era, Nintendo farmed out of a lot of its third-party games to other companies. Sega actually handled creating this one, and they did an incredible job with the masterful speed and graphics and sheer amount of characters. It's a wonder why Nintendo doesn't go back to F-Zero more often, because it's an awesome franchise.
Number 15.
The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Way back when this game was first announced in 2004's E3, people got super excited about it. Then it proceeded to be delayed and took 2.5 years before it finally came out, just because they were waiting for the Wii release. But regardless, it was so cool being able to turn into a werewolf, and the dungeons in this game were some of my favorite Zelda dungeons ever created.
Number 14.
Have you ever wanted to play as the actual level instead of a character? Well, in Super Monkey Ball, that's actually what you did. You moved the platform to get the characters to roll in specific directions. The actual Monkey Ball franchise started off in arcades in Japan, where you controlled the board with a banana-shaped controller.
Number 13.
PacMan Versus is one of my favorite GameCube games ever created. Now, it's basically just a mini-game, and one mini-game at that, but man, you can have an entire night of fun with just this one mini-game. You need a Game Boy Advance, the link cable, the PacMan Versus game, and extra controllers for your friends. But once you get that all set up, it's an incredible experience. You play as Pac-Man on the Game Boy, and people on the screen can only see a little area of where the ghosts are. It's a ton of fun trying to play as a ghost and getting Pac-Man, and it's something that I never thought I'd see happen.
Number 12.
The original Animal Crossing. Everyone likes this game for different reasons, and for me, it wasn't really even the Animal Crossing aspect of it. I mean, sure, that part was fun. This is the first game that actually kicked off the Virtual Console in a weird way, and Nintendo was very giving of their games back then, until they realized they could piece them out and make money on each of them. This game allowed you to play them all in one game.
Number 11.
Eternal Darkness. This game was so incredible from a storytelling perspective, and it was so much fun to play it. If you haven't played it, I don't want to give away any of the story to you. I'll just say the game does a really good job of breaking itself up into sections to play through in small parts for a larger story told on the whole. And oftentimes this game is lumped in with Resident Evil and other survival horror stories. It's not so much a thriller type of game as it is a action-based puzzle game that really messes with your mind.
Number 10.
Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. This game was absolutely ginormous, spanning a vast sea that it was just you on the open ocean, with a talking boat. This was the first game that actually allowed Link to fight with enemies' weapons after you knocked them out of their hands. While it was not originally received well by fans, it was a lot of fun to play, and people definitely came around to this one.
Number 9.
Luigi's Mansion is one of my favorite games on the GameCube. The boss battles are absolutely incredible. There's a ton of secrets to uncover, and it's so much fun walking around as Luigi, yelling out Mario's name.
Mario! Mario! Mario!
Nintendo definitely took this series in a direction people were not expecting. I mean, Mario was a platforming game, and then to make a Luigi's Mansion game where it's like an action-adventure horror game, completely unexpected, but absolutely loved.
Number 8.
Super Mario Sunshine. This game was an absolutely incredible feat for Nintendo back in the day, with the Flood, that water spray device that actually talked to him. It was a lot of fun to play this game, but it was a little bit rough around the edges. Like, I played it the other day and realized you can't invert the camera angle. So you have to relearn the controls on the game if it doesn't fit what you're used to playing. But outside of that minor squabble, this game is an incredible adventure.
Number 7.
Resident Evil 4. This game completely broke new ground in the series, and it changed it from a slow puzzle-based survival horror to a fast-paced action puzzle-based survival horror, which I didn't think would work very well, but to my surprise, is my favorite Resident Evil to this date in the series. It's such an awesome experience, and still holds up today as a really fun game to play.
Number 6.
Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. This game is one of my all-time favorite games ever created when it was on the PlayStation. And then they ported it to the GameCube, but it wasn't just a simple port of a game. They completely remastered the entire thing. They had new voice acting from the same voice actors just to make superior sound quality. They redid the graphics, they created a first-person mode. There was so much new to this game that it felt like an entirely new experience. And it was an extremely challenging and fun game to play. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is the definitive version of Metal Gear Solid.
Number 5.
Pikmin 2 literally improves upon everything that the original Pikmin did. Ditching the limited days mechanic, Pikmin 2 was longer and tougher than the predecessor, has tons of dungeons, and most importantly to me, Pikmin introduced 2 new plant slaves. The fat lovable purple Pikmin, and that dead-eyed abomination of a white Pikmin that would poison enemies. Those new Pikmin, along with new dungeon designs, added an entirely new dimension to the game.
Number 4.
Nintendo! Woohoo!
Mario Kart Double Dash. This is probably my second favorite Mario Kart game since the Nintendo 64 game. Mario Kart Double Dash introduced the 2-driver system, which was a little bit cumbersome to get used to at first, but once you did, it was kinda tough to go back to not having it. It added an extra layer of strategy to the game that never existed before. It also added some of the best tracks in the series history, with DK Mountain being one of my personal favorites.
Number 3.
Metroid Prime, the original Metroid Prime. When I first heard that they were doing a first-person Metroid, I was freaked out, like, no, this is not going to be good, don't do it, I want my 2D Metroids. And then I played Metroid Prime, it was like, hold up, this game's pretty damn good. I don't know how they did it, but they made a platformer in a first-person game, and they made it feel totally natural, like it was actually a 2D Metroid in a first-person 3D world. This game itself was a complete masterpiece, from the soundtrack to the controls to the graphics to just the sheer exploration and an atmosphere-heavy platformer. It did everything right.
Number 2.
Time Splitters 2. I feel like Time Splitters 2 is one of those games that's often forgotten by a lot of people as being one of the greatest games ever made. But if you actually go back and play it now, it holds up incredibly well. Several members of the Rare team that were part of developing GoldenEye actually left to form their own company called Free Radical Design. This is, in my opinion, the true sequel to GoldenEye. But probably my favorite aspect of this game itself was the multiplayer, where you could actually design your own levels and play them with your friends.
Honorable mentions.
First one I want to talk about is Beyond Good and Evil, the original action-adventure game with elements of puzzle solving and stealth-based games. The player controls Jade and investigates a number of installations in search of the truth about a war with an alien threat. The next honorable mention I want to talk about is Kirby's Air Ride. This one just missed my top 25. It was a lot of fun, but back in the day, it actually wasn't received too well by critics. And one more honorable mention is Star Fox Adventures. A lot of people back in the day didn't give this one the credit it deserves because it wasn't like a typical Star Fox game that people were expecting. But for what it was a lot of fun to play it. This is one of those games that I say don't take other people's opinions for it because they might jade you going into it. Don't even listen to me. Just play the game on your own for what it is and see how you like it. Just pretend it's not a Star Fox game while you're playing it. And a lot of you guys are probably thinking Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 should be on this list. It's not. I'm sorry. I liked it a lot, but there's just not room for it. I guess I'll put that in as an honorable mention as well.
Number 1.
And for my number 1 GameCube game of all time, I'm going with Super Smash Bros. Melee. This game was absolutely incredible. It literally improved upon everything that the Nintendo 64 Smash Bros. Did. And it had such perfect balanced characters. And this is during a time where they couldn't update it to nerf characters and things like that, so they had to get it right the first time. And while there's no such thing as a perfect game, this game comes really close. And it may just be, dare I say, my favorite fighting game ever created. So there you have my top GameCube games of all time. Let me know in the comments section below what your favorite GameCube games are. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one.